All right, hello everybody. A little bit different video today. Obviously, I am not Alex. He's been pretty busy lately with his construction work and starting his side hustle business. He's currently out in California modeling his socks and underwear, but he called me. He said he'll be back Monday and his regular videos should resume. Right now, today, we're gonna change a clock spring in a 2021 Ram 2500. This should work for all 5th gen Rams, at least the 3/4 ton and 1 ton. I will try and do my best. I only have 2 hands and the lighting is kind of not great in here, but I'll do my best and we'll see if we can figure this out. To start things off, we're going to want to disconnect the batteries. These 3/4 tons with the Cummins have 2 batteries. So one here and then one on this side. We are going to want to disconnect the negative side of the battery because they are chassis grounded. So if you disconnect the positive and touch anything on the frame, you will get a nice light show. So yeah, we are going to do that. I believe it's a 10 mil. I will let you know when we are done. All right, we got the battery disconnected. I just put a rag in there. Also, same on this side. Just put a rag in between the terminal and the connection. That way if it slips, it won't make contact and then screw anything up. We do not want the airbag going off for some stupid reason. That would not feel great. Yeah. Snowmobile, obviously, if you are a watcher of the channel, you obviously know that this snowmobile does the best donuts.
Probably not.
Once you have disconnected the battery, let it drain for like 3 to 5 minutes to let all the capacitors and any other juice in the lines to drain completely. We don't want any chance of that airbag going off, like I said before. But once you get in here, you're going to find this hole as well as this one here. These are access holes to pins. You will push them in, which will release the airbag module. You'll see what I'm talking about once I get in there. But what you're going to want to do is find a screwdriver about like this, between like 8 to 9 inches, I'd say. Make sure it's skinny enough to fit in there. And then you kind of just have to fish around until you feel the pin and then you push it. And then you need to kind of pry on this at the same time. This is going to be way too difficult for me to record considering I only have 2 hands. I need them both to do this process. So I will have this off the next time you see it. All right, so what you don't know is an hour has passed of me just going at this thing. The left side came out perfect. The right side, no matter what I would do, it would not, could not, will not, don't want to, impossible. It doesn't matter. It did not come out. I went through every single tool here, an Allen wrench, a pick, a paintbrush, which that actually took out the left side. That didn't work. Another sort of pick, back to the original screwdriver, 8-inch screwdriver. This screwdriver, nothing worked. So I took this, I got frustrated. I used every curse word, pushed this as hard as I could, and popped right out. A question I had on it right away was, do you need to push both sides simultaneously to pop this thing out? No, you do not. You only need to do one side at a time. And if you push it hard enough, the whole airbag unit pops itself out. You really don't need to pull on it at all. Just take your time. Don't get mad. And yeah, we'll see what's inside this thing now. So this is what it looks like after you pushed on those springs. It just pops out to about that far. And then you can lift this thing up just like that. But be careful because there are wires in there. And we will be taking those off. I will show you in a little bit what was going on with those sides. But I need to take those wires off real quick. That was super easy. All you have to do is disconnect 3 connections. This one, as well as this one. The last thing you have to do is pull this wire tab out there. All it does is just hold the wires in place. Up next, we will be taking this bolt out and then disconnecting a few more wires, and then we'll pull the entire steering wheel off. Videos I've watched trying to learn about this, people have marked this spline with a Sharpie marker to make sure it's realigned. Well, kind of 2 things here. You can see that they've been indented there. And B, the lighting's kind of hard, but you can see right there, it is keyed. So you cannot put this thing on wrong. You can still put a Sharpie marker on there. It's not gonna hurt anything, but it should already be marked. So no need to worry. Got the steering wheel off here. It's just sitting on the splines loose. I found out that the only two wires from the clock spring to the steering wheel that needs to come undone is this one that sits right up there. I believe that's the heated steering wheel, and then the airbag wires. These two will be pushed through. This is the clock spring back here. Those two will be pushed through, and then you just pull the steering wheel off. I should mention that the only reason why I'm doing this is because my heated steering wheel is out. I have done a bunch of research online, and I'm taking an educated guess that it is a clock spring. My pickup also turns kind of hard to the left. I don't know if that's a side effect of the clock spring. I'm hoping it fixes it because this is a $400 part and it's not under warranty. What happens is it'll turn on. My heated steering wheel will turn on sometimes. When it'll shut off, when I go to push the button again, it'll be like 2 seconds and it'll just immediately shut off. And yes, I know it turns on at 40 degrees, whatever. Everyone knows that. And I don't know why the internet always goes to that. It was negative 25 here with a wind chill of negative 60. I believe the heated steering wheel should be on, but no, it was cold. So that's why we're getting it fixed. We got this clock spring here. I got it from World Part Direct. They got it here in about 2 weeks. It was a special part that they had to order from Mopar, so it wasn't just shipping from them. You can see it's got like the grenade pin. I think that's to keep the clock spring aligned. That'll come off during installation. That could be another reason, because you can't return installed electronics. So that will tell the person whether or not this has been installed. I'm gonna go take the steering wheel off now, and then we'll be back for the next step. I actually lied. Gotcha. This is not a how to change a clock spring. This is a best way to clean your cluster gauge panel window. Just remove it completely, hit it with some glass cleaner, wipe it down, it should be good to go. It's that simple. In all seriousness, it is way easier to clean that panel. I don't know how people get so many scratches in it. Those are there when I bought the pickup. I don't know, just take care of your stuff. This rubber piece here pops off, just pull that up out of the way. And then you're gonna have two tabs here. These two pieces are gonna split. This one's going this way, that one's going that way. But first, take screws out there, in there. And then eventually to get your clock spring, there's gonna be some in here too, I believe. Just start taking those out, and then you should be able to get under here with a screwdriver and pop those. All right, to get these screws out, it takes a T20 bit screwdriver. This screwdriver is probably about 3.5 inches long. Works just fine for this side. However, when you go onto this side, it will bottom out and you won't be able to reach that screw at all. So I got a longer one. Yes. Goes right up in there, and this will come off no problem. When you're doing it, these two, you'll see this stuff kind of get a little looser. I have both the screws out. We will see how, just like that. That's how they pop off. Okay, that's pretty easy then. At least this side was. See if you can just push that in, or there. Yep. Make sure you're not turning this. I might actually mark this up. Make sure this stays at the top, just in case we want to do something with the clock spring later. It's not all completely messed up. You can find center just by going all the way to the left, going all the right, counting them, hit the middle. It'll work fine that way, but I'm just gonna keep it the way it is. All right, quick note. After I just got done battling with this thing, I got the bottom piece out. Make sure that you have this thing as far up as possible. It popped up. I was trying to get it off. This lever got pushed, popped up, whole thing came out. Much easier that way. We will see if we even need to take this top piece off. Not too sure how it does come off, considering there's leather on there. I think it's those orange tabs, but we might just be able to leave that on there and pop off this clock spring right here. So in order to get the clock spring off, there is a screw right there, and you can also see a screw back right there. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get that one. If you don't know where the screws are on there, or if it's not coming off, you kind of just look around the new part. You can see there's a screw there and there's a screw there, the same orientation. So you know it's bottom and top. That's an easy way to figure out where they're at. Got those 2 screws out of there. Now up next, it looks like we need to take that clip out. A couple of electrical plugs there. Looks like down here, and there's one right there. Just look around, make sure you're not going to pull any plugs out here. We don't want to ruin wires. All right, I got it to this point. I can get all those connectors pretty easy down there, but this one was kind of hard to get to. So you can just pull this thing out and then disconnect it. Ram really loves their wire harness mounts. Good for them. Probably makes everything nice and clean for wiring. A pain in the to get out. So don't break the wires. It should be a good day. Once you got the old clock spring off, you can kind of compare and contrast what needs to get switched over to the new one. I have this option, the foot adjustment pedal. So this needs to come off. That'll go in there. This needs to come off. That'll go on there. I don't think there's really too much else that really needs to get moved over, and that's already got the plug on there. How these come out, they're just tabs here. It's kind of just, it's modular actually. So I mean, this tab will come out, this will slide out, and you just slide it straight back into there and snap it in. Pretty genius idea, I guess. Yeah, again, try and keep this straight. I might zip tie this, I might throw this whole thing away. I don't really know what that tab is to. It'd be kind of interesting to see. I think it's allows you to put it in park or maybe neutral. Kind of interesting to look down in here, see what's all going on. Like I mentioned before, this is kind of modular. Yeah, this kind of just slides right in. Yeah, I already got that one moved over. So it's just this tab for the blinker, and then it was that tab for the foot adjustment. All right, now that all of the mods are switched over, we're gonna basically do everything in reverse. So first steps are gonna be, putting these wiring harness plugs back in, plug in all the electronics, and then it will be put the screws back in. So I got up out of my seat here and I was sitting on a spring. I thought I had saw something when I took this module out here, the blinker module. Thought I saw something fly. Wasn't sure. I didn't see anything until I got out of my seat, and it was a spring. I looked all around here, and the only place I can find where that spring would fit is right there. I already put it back in here, but it's the perfect size for it. I don't really know what it does, but it's gonna seat right up against this module or this little peg here, and it's a perfect slot inside there. So I believe that's where it goes. I don't know what it's for. I'm gonna run with it. Just know that when you take this module out, be careful. There might be something that's coming out of here. Don't do what I did and make that mistake. Able to get the clock spring back on. Bolts/screws are in. Everything is secured. Make sure to go around and triple check you have all your wiring harnesses plugged in. Make sure none are loose, and do this before you put any panels back on, because it can be a hassle to take everything back off. Make sure everything is nice and secured. This is an easy check to make sure everything is functional before you put anything back on. All right, all the panels are back in. I got screw 1, screw 2, and there's that third screw right here. This is not a screw, this is a screw. And then I also got this rubber piece for the shifter column all done up, and everything is once again secured. Up next, I believe we're going to put Bluetooth steering wheel, going back to hardwired. We're going to take those 2 wires and route them back through that area right there. And since you kept the steering wheel straight, it should be, go straight back on. Again, it should be keyed, so I don't think you should have to worry too much about that. And just like that, steering wheel is back on, not totally fully seated. We got to put that bolt and other, triangular triangular piece there. Make sure these are the new wires to the clock spring. Make sure you wire or you route them how they were, just so you don't pinch anything. Half of the reason I'm making this video is so I know how to put stuff back together, and it's also helpful for other people. But this allows you to route things the way they were, because yeah, you can kind of see here that, you know, it's routed kind of weird through there. I'm gonna put it back the way it was. Once we get this bolt put on and the triangular piece put back on, it'll be time to probably pull this thing. That's just gonna pull off and break off there. So I'm pretty sure you just grenade pin it. We will find out. I'm gonna put this bolt back in. I believe, I don't 100% know the spec, but I believe it was 30 foot-pounds. That was to a 5th gen 1500 which has a different steering wheel, so I'm not 100% sure on this. Also, when I took that out, it had orange Loctite. Never heard of it, but it was orange and it fought me all the way. So I am going to put blue Loctite on there because I want to be able to remove this someday if need be. I don't know why I'd have to remove it. Didn't know why I had to remove it the first time. Happens. So blue Loctite it is, going in there at 30 foot-pounds. Also, just a quick note here, you can kind of see that is not fully seated, so the steering wheel is not fully seated, but I have pushed on that. You're not going to be able to fully seat that unless you sit here and bang on the steering wheel for hours. You can just put the bolt in, run it down, and it will basically pull it down against all those splines. It'll take care of all that stuff. All right, I got the bolt torqued to 30 foot-pounds. Again, knees pressed up hard against here, hand over where the ratchet and the extension meet to hold that stable, and then crank with this hand. It's harder than I thought.
That's what she said.
But it's easily doable. My torque wrench is only probably a foot long.
That's what she said.
Obviously I shouldn't be able to move it, but it's solid on there, so I got it to spec. Now it's time to pull this grenade pin. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Do not know how to do this. I think you just pull it, so I'm just gonna, there it is. Didn't even break. Okay, so this just pulls out of that spot with that button. All right, so now that is a free turning clock spring. Perfect. All right, we are good to go. All right, we're starting to wrap things up here pretty quickly. It's time to just start putting wires back to where they should be. Pretty dumb proof. These are color coded. They're different shapes, so they only plug into one thing. This is not going to go into this one. It only fits right there. This one, make sure we know it routes up over in these tabs and then back into there. These three go onto the airbag unit. These two right in the center, and then this one was kind of off to the side. You'll be able to see it on the airbag. And then I will also show you one more thing that we have to do on the airbag. That first step where we pushed that spring to unlatch it from here, we have to set it so that it's in a certain slot. We're going to push it. It's going to ping off these tabs right here, and then it's just going to spring back into place. And that's all you have to do. Just make sure you get all these plugs back in beforehand. Make sure you route the things the way they were so that you don't pinch the wires. And then we're gonna reconnect our batteries, and then we're gonna take it for a test drive, see if everything works, hopefully. All right, this is somewhat of the last step that you gotta do. You gotta move this spring. You can kind of see that it goes, yeah, right there. We gotta push this right here. Kind of hard to do with one hand. You gotta push that so that that will then get pushed into that spot. I did this side already. I just pushed it right there, and see how it's locking into there, into that spot. So what's going to happen in there is just going to tap that. This thing's going to shoot right back, and it's going to shoot behind here, and then you're going to be locked into position. So let me get this one here. Then I'm going to reconnect all these wires back up to this thing, and then you'll be able to just push this thing in and you'll hear a click. All right. So I got all the connectors back in. I got the harness plug back in. And now it is time to line this thing up and give it one final push. So hopefully I don't set this off wrong. Also, putting those airbag plugs in is a lot more nerve-wracking than I thought. I know there's no charge to the pickup. For some reason, if that thing would accidentally go off, that would hurt. Wow. We're gonna line this thing up, make sure no wires are getting pinched here. I'm gonna try and sneak a view here. All right, I believe that's good. And now you're lined up and we should be able to just push.
We did it! We did it!
Right.
We did it!
That was a positive click. Everything's in. I heard 2 clicks. So, obviously I can't do anything with that yet. Probably should have checked that earlier. It's solid. I'm gonna go plug the batteries back in. We'll go for a little test drive, but probably won't record that because it's very illegal, and I will report back if something isn't right. Subscribe to Alex's channel. Help him out with his side hustle. Go buy his socks and underwear. He will link that in the description when it hits the market. Thanks for watching.